Dinesh got involved also in Ramleela when he started at the Sangre Grande Hindu School. Dinesh participated in Ramleela, and the year he started Ramleela, he got the trophy for the youngest player that year taking part in Ramleela. He was 4 years at the time. This is Dinesh there with Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati. As time moved on, and as Dinesh entered secondary school, he also graduated to major roles as Sumant, the Chief Security Officer. And here we have Dinesh as Sumant. We have Ram here, and I want to acknowledge the presence of our Ram for the last 11 years. He is here with us, Mr. Kabir Badalu. Please take a stand. Kabir, and let's acknowledge him. And Dr. Gupta mentioned earlier on, Sangre Grande Ramleela Committee took Ramleela to Rio Claro and Tunapuna and the Frederick settlement, and Kabir Badalu was the person who played Ram and had another Ram co-starring with him. These are some of the roles that Dinesh is currently holding in the Ramleela Committee. Has now taken over from his brother, seen from young King Dasrat, Sawan Kumar. And you can see here the discipline. And we move on. Kamalay's involvement in Ramleela. When Shiva started participating in Ramleela, Kamalay, Kamo as she is commonly known, also got involved by starting performing arati for the main players. By 2005, a teacher by profession, she was placed in charge of all aspects of costuming for the celebrations, a position she still holds today. These are some of the crowns, the workshop that she holds. Our command shed. She's in charge of decorating our command shed, assisted by other members. Annually, she runs a Ramleela workshop for members of our committee, and has attended workshop in 2011, which was organized jointly by the National Ramleela Council and the University of the West Indies, where we had teachers from India coming down here and teaching us costume designs, stage management, and others. She's here with another member, Ms. Lynette Lutchman. She's also here to acknowledge her. It's a workshop taking place at the Sangre Hindu Mandir in Sangre Grande. Because times has changed and people's features change, face change also. This is Kamo there. In 2007, she was elected as the secretary of the Sangre Grande Ramleela Committee, and to today, she still holds that post. My involvement in Ramleela. 2013, when our son Shiva started Ramleela. Okay, I'm told to finish off here now, so I'm closing off here. Okay, so this is some of the thing there. All right. and Ramleela here. Okay, I started, you can read here, started. Right. And by 2005, started taking more active part in Ramleela. Some of the roles I played. It's me there. Okay. And I always open the Ramleela, the first stage on the Ramleela, stage Vishwami. In 2007, during the election, I was also elected the vice president, a post I still hold today in the Sangre Grande Ramleela committee. I want to say that Ramleela has changed my family, has changed my life. It's a discipline that once you get involved in, can no longer see another way of life. And I want to say thank you all to the panel here for getting me involved and to encourage other families like myself to get involved in Ramleela. There is no bad benefits from Ramleela. So I say, Sitaram and thank you. Bolo Paburama Chandeki.
Welcome to the podium, Dr. Ragoobar from Mauritius.
Thank you, Chairperson. I feel privileged indeed. I would like to thank all the members of the organizing committee for the invitation. As you can see, my topic reads the socio-religious context of Ramleela in Mauritius. It goes, living beings function in groups. No development, it is said, takes place in isolation. Many species form groups for various reasons. So does Homo sapiens, man, the social animal. Darwin's theory of evolution mentions how way back in time, man functioned in well-set communities and moved about in search of the food in the same ways animal did. Primitive man was ignorant about the ways and means to toil the land. He found refuge in caves, which are still the subject of research on the part of anthropologists. The Aryans migrated to India, where they settled in plains wherever land was productive. They began to realize the benefits of community life. The way was paved for civilization. Today, notes of patriotism fill the air. People proudly speak about their countries and how different strands of the population live in the harmony, and that despite their differences. When the first batch of immigrants left the shores of Bharat Mata to cross the Kalapani before reaching Mauritius in the wake of the abolition of slavery, the spirit of patriotism, as we consider it in our times towards their motherland, was somewhat prevalent among them. It had just been ignited, so to say. In 1834, the British government abolished slavery throughout its colonies. In Mauritius, the freed slaves left the sugar estates to settle along the coastal regions. As a result, sugarcane planters looked towards India as a cheap source of labor. Those Indian immigrants who decided to cross the Kalapani were lucky enough, as apart from them, no other community was willing to toil the land. The story goes to the effect that they were lured to Mauritius by the promise that they would find gold under the stones. This was not to be. Instead, they worked so hard that the land produced sugar synonymous of gold. Many people became landowners. Thanks to the Moselma parceling system, they could possess their plots of land and their conditions inevitably improved. They could hence settle in one locality and temples began to emerge. At marriage ceremonies, Hindu rites and rituals were followed, while Bhagavad and Ram Katha were narrated in the Baitkas, where people would meet mainly at night to read and listen to passages from the Ramayana. The first generation of indentured laborers had to toil very hard. History bears witness to this. As they progressed in life, a social awakening took place. This brought with it religious and social reforms, their living conditions altered for the better as a result. In the year 1898, an organization comprising Hindus was duly registered. Since then to date, countless bodies have been set up by people who came from places as diverse as Madras, Calcutta, Bihar, and Bombay, and their descendants. Societies and other bodies thus formed were mostly concerned with religious matters. This included societies which managed temples. Today, every society receives financial grants from the government to meet the expenses philanthropical activities entail. The second important objective of these societies was dissemination of language. If there is no language, there is no culture. The study of our language and sacred texts evokes noble feelings in us, such as love, respect, faith, and devotion. Despite all odds, our forefathers fought tooth and nail to preserve religion and culture. These provided them their moorings in life. At the Mahatma Gandhi Institute, where I work in the School of Indological Studies, Asian languages, including Mandarin, are taught at the graduate and postgraduate levels. Here, allow me to make mention of Sanskrit, a language with which I am conversant. In all humility, I hope that I will not be accused of vanity if I mention that I started the teaching of Sanskrit at the Mahatma Gandhi Institute. This language, the language of the gods, is taught from the beginner's course to the postgraduate level. Students are also involved in research work leading to doctorates and a master in philosophy. I initiated the teaching of Indian philosophy at secondary and tertiary levels at the MGR, Mahatma Gandhi Institute, and in Mauritius. On our local radio and television stations, there are programs and channels in Hindi and Bhojpuri and all the languages I have mentioned. Devotees of the Ramayana maintain their religion and culture through readings and chanting the verses in Hindi and Sanskrit, the language which is used as a tool to propagate religion and culture is powerful. It should be an important objective of our societies, therefore, to keep the different ancestral languages in the country alive. When it comes to culture, I would like to add that there is no majority culture and no minority culture anywhere in the world. Mauritius, my country of adoption, offers a good example of unity in diversity. As you can see, we have Christians, we have Hindus and Muslims and other religions as well. It has been compared to a garden where flowers of different hues blossoms. It is vital for us to motivate the upcoming generations, mostly the youth, to study the sacred texts. Here, the saying, back to the Vedas, comes to the fore of my consciousness. Now the time has come to mention how the Ramayana and the Ramleela have come to find pride of place in the life of Mauritians of Indian origin. The Ramleela takes the source in the great tradition of storytelling, the oral tradition. It gives life to characters while unfolding the plot. The plot of the Ramayana, which revolves around the figure of Rama, follows a pattern which has been respected throughout the Indian diaspora. It may have undergone changes as it traveled to places where Hindu religion is practiced, but in the main, the spirit Valmiki endured, the character which still prevails. Lord Rama retains his vitality. He is a part of our consciousness, and when the plot comes full circle, we realize that it teaches us how by his deeds man comes to achieve dimension of the divine. Rama maintained that dharma is the most prominent among the four purusharthas. Observance of dharma contributes to a legitimate enjoyment of earth and karma. In philosophical terminology, truth is referred to as sat, which means existence. The person who treads along the path of truth thus becomes fearless. At first, Gandhi said, God is truth. He later altered the saying from whatever angle we look at the statement, rebelled. There was the hermitage of Rama's celebrated guru Vishwamitra, who, it is said, instructed him to kill the demoness Tarka at Buxar, Bihar. Even Mother Sita is said to have taken birth in what is now the Bhojpuri belt. The Girmitias migrated from Bihar and the neighboring villages to settle in far-off places like the Fiji Island, Mauritius, Trinidad and Tobago, and Suriname in the course of the 18th and 19th centuries. They were attached to the story of Rama and Sita as they embarked on this period of their life, which they considered as their exile. Some Indian emigrants brought a copy of the Ramayana with them. The MGI has preserved to this date a copy of this ancient Indian epic dating from the 1840s, written in the Kathi script of the North Central India in the 4th Museum, as you can see. Mauritius therefore offers a typical example of our ancestors' attachment to the Ramcharitmanas, which is still maintained by the present generation. The late 1840s and the 1850s witnessed the opening rudimentary school on some sugar states. There, the children of immigrants were taught sacred texts like the Ramayana. They also acted in popular stories which were staged. That of Lord Rama offers a fitting example. From the 1860s to the 1880s, the Ramayana was read and chanted on some sugar states. During the 1819, Sardar Nandlal, the son of Nandlal, a Bihari immigrant, established a Baitka on the state camp of Lagudane sugar factory. It was one of the first places where the Ramayana was read on a weekly basis, and the Ramleela was enacted 4 times yearly by children of the Indian immigrants. Sardar Nandlal helped establish the tradition of Ramayana reading, chanting and staging of Ramleela in several villages during a period which covered more than 30 years. This Ramayana consciousness helped them to keep their culture alive. Further events like the Ramleela associated with it gave them the strength and vigor to endure the difficult life they led on the sugar states. This is but an understatement. 2 other immigrants, namely Mr. Rangasamy and Mr. Sarvani, helped encourage Ramleela performances in the country in the late 19th century. They also brought Pandits from India to encourage dissemination of the spirit of the Ramayana. Between the early 1900s and 1950s, great historical figures and visionaries like Manilal Doctor, who came to Mauritius at the request of Mahatma Gandhi and others, encouraged Indo-Mauritians to take the advantages associated with education, go through the Ramayana, and to hold Ramleela presentation regularly on the sugar states and in their respective villages. Many Hindi schools were established island-wide by Hindu Sanatanis, Arya Samajis, and members of the Jan Andolan movement. These schools also taught Hindu religion, which included exposure to the Ramayana and enactment of the Ramleela. Between the 1920s and the 1960s, the Ramayana consciousness was nurtured. Over the years, these activities have become an integral part of the heritage of the Indo-Mauritian community. Today, the Ramleela tradition is observed at some Ram Katha ceremonies, where local groups stage plays. The Ramcharitmanas remains ever present among Hindu rituals and ceremonies. During Holi, for example, local groups yearly organize Chautar and Dhamal competition at regional and national levels. The lyrics deal mostly with Ram, Sita, Lakshman, Bharat and Hanuman. You can see how they are performing. The Ramayana is so appreciated in Mauritius that the Ramayana Center has been established upon a statue of Parliament. This sacred text is taught in schools as part of the Hinduism, Hindi and Sanskrit curriculum. Upon the initiative of the Sanatana Dharma Temple Federation, Inter-college and inter-village Ramayana chanting competitions are held every year. The winners are awarded free return tickets and lodging to perform in Indian towns and villages. Again, the Mahatma Gandhi Institute offers courses at diploma, BA, honors, and MA levels in Indian philosophy. Our students are made to study modules dealing with Ramayana. During the celebration of Ram Navami and Vijayadashmi, verses from the Ramcharitmanas are recited in all temples on 9 consecutive nights. On the day Lord Rama takes birth, the government grants Hindus an official 2-hour leave from work to participate in Lalna singing, where verses starting with Bhai Prakat Kripala, Deen Dayala, Kaushalya Hitkari, Harshit Mahatari, Ati Manhari, Adbhut Roop Vichari. Mauritius has evolved its own Lalna in Bhojpuri, which begins with Avadh mein janme Shri Rama, Dashrath ji ke angna mein ho. Aho lalna, Avadh mein bajila badhaiya, Shri Ram ke janam bhaila ho. The characters of the Ramayana are spiritually present at marriage ceremonies. Every Hindu groom personifies Rama, every bride Sita. The father-in-laws are Dashrath and Janak respectively. On the eve of the 2-day marriage ceremony, usually on Friday night, the Geet Gawai is held as per the Ramcharitmanas tradition. These examples clearly shows that how the Ramayana is deeply ingrained in the socio-religious life of Mauritians of Indian origin. You can see the Geet Gawai function. And is the Parchavan. Almost all the samskaras carry the imprint of the Ramayana, and when the soul finally leaves its mortal coil, while all the relatives are assembled around the corpse, verses from the Ramcharitmanas are read as a reminder of the fundamental tenets of Hinduism, that is, the body is perishable while the soul is not. Lord Rama cannot be separated from the ritual songs which are associated with the life cycle of the Hindu, namely birth, head shaving, and sacred thread ceremonies, marriage, and death. The rites of passage. The celebration of the life cycle of the individual revolves around Rama. His spirit hovers over these celebrations. Many of the songs have as their central theme his birth in the first month of the year of Chaitra, which falls in April, his return to Ayodhya after conquering the demon king Ravan, and culminate in the celebration of Holi during the month of Falgun. The cycle thus depicts Rama as a circular pattern which always begins at the point it reaches its end. The end, it is said, inevitably leads to the beginning. Rama gives the birth of life to the seasons. From nature, his presence is felt in every human celebration of some significance. From the divine, Rama comes to the level of ordinary mortals. He is you, he is me, he is us. He achieves our dimensions and yet is eternal. He is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. In other words, the Ramleela tradition raises ordinary temporal life to the level of the universal and the permanent. Lord Rama's life guides us along the journey of life, and when we breathe our last, the soul travels to the shore where it attains immortality. Hindu devotees are constantly aware of his presence, and he partakes in all our pleasures and pains. He symbolizes the soul's eternal journey as he is part and parcel of the rhythm of life and death. Thanks to the staging of the Ramcharitmanas with all its religious implications, the epic is today an integral part of the social, religious, and ethical life of Mauritian people of Indian origin. It is a legacy of our traditional culture, that culture which our forefathers brought along with them when they decided to start life anew in Mauritius. It acted as a bridge between the country they had left and the new life they were starting. The Ramleela thus has cultural connotations in Mauritius. Today, it reminds us of the glorious past our forefathers weaved as they toiled on the sugar stakes. The Ramleela entertained them and provided relief from hard work. It is engraved in the hearts of generations of Indian Mauritians. Thank you for your attention.